Welcome into Mavericks Today by Chat Sports. I'm Jeffrey Cooperstein. A tough loss for the Mavericks against the Golden State Warriors. 126-102 the final. Plain and simply, the Mavericks were a no-show in this game from the get-go. They started out the game on a 9-4 run, and the Warriors took over after that, going on a 15-0 run of their own, and the game was over from there. The Mavericks were non-competitive in this game. It looked like they were going to come out and show some fight, show some aggressiveness. That did not continue after the first phase of play. The Mavericks were dominated in every single facet of the game in this one, losing 126-102. The only player on the Mavericks that looked like they gave a shit in this game was PJ Washington. And that's kind of how PJ operates. PJ, 17 points and 4 rebounds, 3 assists in this game. He was a minus 22, but he's the only one when the Mavericks were getting blown out that looked like he actually cared about this game. It felt like the Mavericks weren't ready for the 12:30 local time tip-off. They weren't ready for the intensity of the Golden State Warriors. They weren't ready for the Warriors to give them their all after the last hard-fought game in Dallas that the Mavericks ended up edging out the Warriors in. Steph Curry, who played one of the worst games I've ever seen him play against the Mavericks in that last game, was fantastic today. He had 30 points and 7 rebounds in addition to 7 assists. 4 rebounds, in addition to 7 assists. 12 of 20 from the field and 3 of 8 from 3. Steph Curry looked like Steph Curry in this one. The Warriors went on multiple runs. Jason Kidd just didn't take a timeout, which I know Jason Kidd likes to do, but he just didn't take a timeout when he easily could have tried to stop some runs, maybe set up a play. Just didn't take it. The Mavericks ended up getting blown out by the Golden State Warriors. It just wasn't a good look overall. I don't care if you lose the game as long as you're competitive. The Mavericks were not competitive in this game, and it was pretty embarrassing on their part. Like, at the end of the game, when you have the likes of Kyler Kelly, Moses Brown, Omax, Brandon Williams, and Jaden Hardy playing, the bottom 5 guys on your roster, that usually means you did something pretty damn wrong. And the Mavericks did everything wrong in this game for basically the final 44 minutes of it. It was complete non-competitive, a complete no-show, and the Mavericks better be ready because on Tuesday, they have a whole nother thing coming. We'll talk about Tuesday here in just a moment, and I'm sure you guys know what all that entails, but we'll detail that here in just a second. But I do want to get the thoughts of you guys down in the comments. Who is to blame for this loss? Is it Jason Kidd? Is it Kyrie Irving? Is it Jaden Hardy? Is it PJ Washington? Let me know down in the comment section for today's pinned comment. You may get hit with a YouTube ad break here in just a couple of seconds. And while that happens, go on down there and get your votes in. Who is to blame for today's loss? Tuesday night, the Mavericks head to the Crypto.com arena to take on the Los Angeles Lakers. Luka Doncic's first game against the Dallas Mavericks in his career. After the Mavericks laid this egg, Luka had 32 the other night for the Lakers. You better damn believe he is licking his chops for this game. In the Mavericks and Warriors game, Nico Harrison was shown on the screen about 10 times. And every time, it made me absolutely cringe and just think that he did the unthinkable. He traded the Mavericks superstar. He traded the Mavericks present, past, and future. And Luka is going to make the Mavericks pay for that on Tuesday. I'll be rooting for the Mavericks to win. But I also want Luka to go off because I want to see my favorite player in the NBA do things that only he can do. Nobody in the NBA can do everything that Luka Doncic does. I can't wait to see him on the court, and the Mavericks better wake the hell up if they want to get a win on Tuesday, because if they don't, there's going to be more disaster like there was Sunday in the Bay at the Chase Center versus the Golden State Warriors. We'll get to the rest of today's show here in just a few moments, but I do need to tell you guys about our sponsor, which of course is PrizePicks, America's #1 daily fantasy sports app. PrizePicks has over 10 million members and billions of dollars in awarded winnings, making daily fantasy sports accessible to all. You just make more or less on at least 2 players for a shot to win up to 1,000 times your cash. Run your game all season long on PrizePicks. PrizePicks is also the best place to get real money action in over 30 states, including California, Florida, Georgia, and Texas. They put their members first, so all withdrawals are fast, safe, and secure. When my picks hit, I can get my money in as quick as 15 minutes. Here was my projection for the Mavericks vs. Warriors game. Do not copy my picks. These did not hit. You can make some picks of your own. Just please make sure you do it with our friends over at PrizePicks. Download the PrizePicks app today. Use code CLNS to get a $50 bonus when you play your first $5 lineup. You don't even need to win to receive that bonus. It is guaranteed. Again, download the app. Use code CLNS and get a $50 bonus when you play your first $5 lineup. It is PrizePicks. Run your game. All right, I wanted to take a look and talk a little bit about Kessler Edwards here and his future with the Mavericks. I saw this on Mavericks Twitter. Wanted to bring it up and talk about it. So Kessler Edwards obviously is on a two-way contract with the Mavericks. Two-way contract players are allowed to be active for 50 games. Kessler Edwards, after the game against the Golden State Warriors, has now been active for 38 games. So he has 12 more games to be active. Now you're asking, he has 12 more games active. How many more games do the Mavericks have to play? Mavericks have 24 games left to play. So Kessler Edwards is available for exactly half of the Dallas Mavericks' remaining games. And I'm not saying that Edwards is a key piece to the Mavericks going forward in their future or anything, but he has filled in very admirably in a role that he is not used to, in a role that, frankly, he should not be playing. But the Mavericks are without Daniel Gafford, without Derek Lively, without Dwight Powell, without Anthony Davis, without all four guys who have the capability of playing center. So they have thrusted Kessler Edwards into an impossible position. And I'll tell you what, he's done a pretty damn good job. Edwards is available for 12 more games with 24 left. If he's active for each game going forward, which I believe he will, March 19th versus Indiana would be game number 50. In the final game, he would be eligible to play. Now, I know what you're asking is this. Why can't the Mavericks just sign Kessler Edwards to a full-time roster spot? The Mavericks cap situation will not allow them to sign Edwards to a roster spot until April 10th. The Mavericks are $51,000 below the apron threshold, which means they have about 5 days of salary, maybe 4 days of salary remaining to give to a player. They signed Moses Brown to a 10-day contract to try to get some big man help here while Dwight Powell inches towards a return. After Moses Brown's contract, they don't have room to sign Edwards to the active roster. So the Mavericks are going to have to be very careful with how they use Kessler Edwards for the remainder of the season. I think they should use him sparingly, try to, rack up some DMPs, some inactives, so he can, be active for the stretch run of this season. But at the same time, if Dwight Powell's not available, you need Kessler Edwards in there. You need his body. I know he's 6'7" and he's thin, but he's one of the biggest guys the Mavericks have right now. And they're absolutely going to need his services down the stretch. So it'll be very interesting to see how Jason Kidd wants to play this. I think they're going to have to keep him active. And I think that they're going to have to just burn out his 50 games, so to speak. And then they'll have to cross the bridge when they come to it. Kessler Edwards has played okay for the Mavericks. He started a few games at center. He's done better than everyone expected, I'll be honest with you. But as of now, they have no choice but to play him. I hope he gets elevated to the 15-man roster and gets to play those final 2-3 games, whatever it is, with the Mavericks at the end of the season. But let me know what you guys think. Should the Mavericks elevate Kessler Edwards to the 15-man roster? Type Y for yes, type N for no. Curious to hear what you guys have to say down in the comment section. Again, it was a rough one for the Dallas Mavericks, losing 126-102 to the Golden State Warriors. A complete no-show for the Mavericks on Sunday afternoon at the Chase Center. They're off Monday, and then on Tuesday, it's Luka Doncic. It's the Los Angeles Lakers against the Dallas Mavericks. We will be live for it. Be sure to hit that subscribe button. It's youtube.com/MavsTV. We're covering all of the latest Mavericks news and rumors, analysis. We do live watch parties as well for a majority of the games. So go ahead and hit that subscribe button, and we'll see you soon here on the channel. Appreciate all of the almost 20,000 people that joined us for our Mavs vs. Warriors watch party. Let's try to double that for Mavs and Lakers. We'll see you soon here on the channel. Let's go Mavs.